way it goes. God is always in control. So I'm going to have just one moment of silence for former President Jimmy Carter. If we could stand on that. Okay, thank you. I will be seated. Because it means they can be seated, they can be seated. Dear Heavenly Father, we come together as a community again to do the work of this for the citizenry and for the betterment of our community. We thank you, oh Father, for those that have come out to partake, and we also ask you to give us wisdom, understanding, patience, and above all, let us believe that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. We ask now that the time that we spend here today will be productive, that it will be with decorum, and will be with learning and respect for one another. This is all I can ask in your Son's name. Amen. Thank you. We have some
roll call there.
roll call will be in order. Yes. Zone 1.
Present.
Zone 2. Here. Zone 3. Zone 4. Here. And the mayor's present. Thank you very much. Okay. We're going to start with what we call the public forum. We have 3 things that are listed in there that were added. Public comments, I should say. That's going to be the add-on number 6.
Mayor,
Yes.
you want to go back to appointment of vice mayor? Appointment of a vice mayor? We didn't do that in the last meeting.
Oh, okay. Now you go. It is right here. The appointment of the vice mayor, usually what happens is that after the election, the senior commissioner outside of the mayor, it's usually someone that we appoint. So, do I have any motions to nominate?
Motion that we nominate Roger.
Mike? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I make a motion that we nominate Roger Eckert.
Motion. Second. Motion second. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? None. And congratulations to the Vice Mayor of the City of Lake Ellis. Give him a hand. Well, now we want to the public comments. We have 3 items. Oh, yeah, the deletions are what we've got on this one page here. That's what I was getting ready to go through, which is reverse is going to be with public comments. And they will have A, B, and C. One will be 107, 1071 Lake Helen Osteen Road. That's a sidewalk. And then B will be 157 South Lake Drive, sidewalk. And C will be 487 Jackson Street, which is someone requesting a permit to extend their RV permit to be discussed.
In addition to that, Mayor, we're adding Mr. Alan Cook Jr. To update on the holiday contest and donation to Arbor Day.
Pick that one at a time. We got 6, and he's going to be 7.
7.
He's going to be 7 without an 8, 7, and then 10.
For quasi-judicial, we tabled at the last meeting COA for 165 Water Street. So we're bringing that back to the commission. And then under administrative, provide Scott as a brief discussion Tuesday on building moratorium, so we'll be in a position to address what's the process of doing that for the commission, and also an item involving wildlife extractors involving the rodents at City Hall.
Excuse me, we adding the drain grading for those just for, did you add
we just got this, I didn't know anything about this. So,
Well,
yeah, but that, you said it was good during public comment.
Good. Okay. All right, you want to handle that?
Yes, the first three are in public comment. The individuals may be here. Gentleman is building a home at 1071 Lake Helen Osteen Road. And the home that has been built at 157 South Lakeview Drive. The code requires sidewalks on collector and arterial roads. These homes are on county roads. The county will not authorize sidewalks on them because there are sidewalks on the other side of the street. So that's where they would get their permit and their permission to put in sidewalks. I don't have the authority to waive that, so the commission needs to do that. And this probably highlights one of the issues we've had on sidewalks with you guys in the sense that we've got a code that mandates sidewalks where we can't mandate them. And the third is an RV that is parked at 487 Jackson Street, has a permit, and they're allowed a 2-week extension. So I think there's maybe a resident here, but I just told the folks that I'd go ahead and address them since two are related to building and sidewalks, and then the third was, permit was added today. So unless you want to hear from members of the public or you have questions for them, I did provide a handout to you showing emails from the county to the 2 residential units indicating the sidewalk issue. If we had them donate in lieu of, the money goes to the county, to their sidewalk program. So having them donate to the county sidewalk program goes to benefit like health.
Any comments, discussion on that?
Back when they did a review of Lake Helen, when they put in Volusia Pines, there was a sidewalk program that was initiated. Following that, there was a recommendation that a sidewalk be installed by the city or the county or whoever on the east side of Lakeview to accommodate along with the west side because of it being a major, what we would consider a major road for our town. To have a sidewalk on both sides would be more safety for the public to walk along, being able to access both sides rather than just having a sidewalk on one side. So I'd say for the one for Lakeview Drive, have the requirement that they install a sidewalk. Yeah, it's going to be a sidewalk that's going to be all by itself, but it would save the city future costs in installing sidewalks on that side of the street. As far as Lake Osteen Road sidewalk goes, I know they recommended a sidewalk on the east side also, but I would follow Volusia County's recommendation on that one because it's a major county road and there's not really, that I've seen, much foot traffic on the east side of that road, unlike Lakeview, which has more residential pedestrian activity.
I wasn't here or there, but I'm just going on the email from the county. They're saying on Lakeview, no sidewalk is required by the county at this
Well,
location.
that's required by the county, but we can require it.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
On this sidewalk on Lakeview, do we know how large it is, how long, how many cubic feet of?
It would be, from what I've seen, it would be a property from the post office parking area to the driveway going to the house behind it.
That short distance?
About 100 feet, something like that.
But is it sort of like a sidewalk to nowhere? I mean, it's gonna stop like right?
There's no sidewalk on either side.
Right now, there's no sidewalks that I know of on the east side of Lakeview. And if we're going to plan for the future, sometime or other, sidewalks going to have to be on the east side. And either the city's going to have to foot the bill to do it, or it may be everybody said, well, it's a sidewalk to nowhere. Well, a lot of sidewalks to nowhere were started and then filled in by the cities, municipalities, or counties later. And we got to start somewhere, getting the sidewalks put in on our busier streets.
Do we have a cost of what this would approximately be to a homeowner? Is that right?
Debbie? Debbie from the building permit department may have some idea, because we kind of get our estimation on sidewalk costs from the county. Yeah.
Debbie Howell, work for the city of Lake Helen, for main zoning. Questions?
Yes, I was wondering if we knew approximately the cost of this sidewalk that we're discussing on Lakeview.
So the cost of the sidewalk by the county is charged at $35 a square foot. So with the sidewalks, I heard Roger talking about, even though the county says that they don't require the sidewalk that the city would, it's county right of way, we have to pull a permit through Volusia County to install the sidewalk. They sat in my office, Dane and another gentleman, and they said they will not require a sidewalk. It's not attached to anything. There's no other residents on that side of the road that have a sidewalk, and they will not require it. So if you're going to push to require the sidewalk, you're going to have to take it up with the county. The county said if we had projects in the pipeline, ready to go, that they would have been able to take that money and hold it and allocate it to those projects, but we don't have those projects.
But this is on Lakeview Drive, isn't it?
That's a county right of way.
It's still a county.
That's a county
Okay.
road. So,
Well, to reference that and put it into terms that I heard from the state, there were a lot of citizens that didn't want four-wheel drive ATV activities in a state park up there on Highway 92. And the state kept on saying, do you believe in home rule? That's the same question I put to the county. It's in our town, we are the home, our rules should apply above the county's in that point where it affects our citizens' safety. When it comes down to safety, I think the county will give to our request.
okay, well, you're welcome to reach out to them. I have, I think it's her last name is Ms. Kazalik. And Dane Bauer, I believe. And you're welcome to speak with them and, go with it from there. But at this point, we have a house, again, that's coming to CO. We've spent about a month working on this, trying to figure out a way with the county. We tried to get legal aid, legal assistance from the county to see if they could give us the money. If we did charge the in lieu of fee, they cannot. So you'll have to make a decision tonight on whether you're going to table this and get more information via the county and hold up his CO longer. I mean, he has a letter from the county, he'll fight you on it, that he is not required to put in a sidewalk. And if we don't have anything in our codes and the county oversees us because it's a county right of way, how is he going to be enforced by the city to put the sidewalk in at this time?
I have a question. This is a county right of way. So if we don't put one in now, what if they were responsible in the long run to put one in if it's required?
They're not going to require it, there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street. So I heard what you said about having sidewalk cheaper or something. At this point in time, the county has stated there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street, they are not going to require that sidewalk.
I don't know that it's worthwhile to make enemies of $3,500. That's just my opinion.
I would argue with them on their Target Zero program that they'd be violating their own program for public safety.
Okay, but are you going to do that at the expense of the property owner who is trying to CO? Because we don't have any clear direction for this. So it's still out there waiting to be figured out, in a sense.
We don't have a clear direction for a number of sidewalk issues in Lake Helm, not
Exactly.
just the ones that involve the county.
I understand that completely.
I would be willing to go and talk to the county about this issue because there have been numerous instances on county roads inside municipalities where the municipality overruled the county and had things done in their areas, so I'd be willing to go to the county, but we can't keep on putting off the safety of our citizens because of politics.
But due to the fact that we don't have anything on the books, we can't keep holding people's COs up either, because that's on us for not having all of that stuff in the works. And the county's saying there's sidewalk on the other side of the road. So I'm saying if there's an email from them stating that, and Scott's not speaking up saying that we need to do anything, so.
Looks like he's
I mean,
reviewing
I still
some
have a
stuff.
temporary CO holding on limit for a sidewalk over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gave them a temporary CO while we were reviewing the sidewalk, I believe.
Right. So is that something that we're gonna continue to do? The sidewalk has been an issue with the city since I started here. And I have asked many times to sit down and have this reviewed. I know at the last time, the PLDRC, that there was a letter that came in and they canceled the meeting. We need this meeting. There's a lot of codes that need direction. They need to be looked at.
I agree, and if it comes down where the PLDRC is going to refuse to have meetings with us, then I'd say disband the PLDRC and get some new appointments into it.
Well, they're gonna be, we'll present the same paperwork to them that we've given to you tonight. And they'll see, hopefully, that, and understand that we do need to revise something. And we need to dig a little deeper. We need to get hand in hand with the county and find out what we can and can't do with them on some of our roads. Because we're gonna have other houses going in on Pratt. We're gonna have other houses going in on Lakeview. There's a vacant lot sitting right on the corner of Lakeview and Main. So it's gonna come up again.
One of the things of having a small town like this and has county roads going through it, county supersedes us. It's their road, and if they wanted to, I know we tried to get a flashing red light for the firehouse in front of Main Street. The county did a survey and said that the vehicular traffic did not warrant a light. Whether we wanted one or not, the county said we don't allow a light on a street where the traffic volume was the lowest. Now, this was several years ago. We didn't have Ivy Hahn in, we didn't have all the schools in, so maybe that'd be something that we can come back and address at another time. But as far as the county goes, even the citizens realized the difference between the county and the city when we had the hurricane and we had debris all over the county road. Because the county says, don't pick up our debris. So it was also in the interest of our citizens, if we could come back to them and say, listen, we'll pick it up. We would pick it up, but the county says we can't. So they have some jurisdiction. Until we change the balance of power, or balance of power in who owns what, and what the city is, and what the county is, we don't need to go pick fights. That's what it sounds like we're looking to do, is pick a fight. That somewhere is not winnable. That's my opinion.
The other thing is too, is the county could have enforced it in lieu of a fee. They did not.
Would you say that again?
The county, they have options. They have the option to have them install a sidewalk or pay in lieu of fee. Both properties, there's no in lieu of fee that's gonna be collected on these properties.
Well, it won't come to the city.
It doesn't matter whether it came to us or them, they're not imposing it because they don't deem that sidewalk as a necessity in front of that structure. They don't need it on their right of way.
I would still like to go and talk with them about the issue and get it, see if we can get it switched to our favor. Because I'm more concerned about the citizens' safety than I am about the politics.
I understand, Roger, the only concern I have is if you pick one house and say they don't on a county road, and you pick another and say they do. I'm not sure how that's looked at on what's the basis of justifying that. You're telling one person, no problem, the sidewalk on the other side, you don't need to put it, but we want it here. I don't know what the legal
Because we
basis
don't
is.
have a standard operating procedure, that's
And
why.
it's a difference. You're talking about Lakeview with a 30-mile-an-hour traffic limit, speed limit, and then you're talking about Pernat that has a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. That's a more dangerous road than Lakeview. But they're both county roads. I mean, and I agree with what Jim is saying, is we're picking and choosing again. So if you're gonna do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for both.
If that's what it takes, that's what I'll go for, but from what I've seen, as far as people walking on the roads, there's more people walking along Lakeview than there are along Lake Elmosing Road.
Then they need to walk on the side that has the sidewalk.
People don't want to horse people on the sidewalk.
True.
Can I get a response from Scott? Can you give us some input?
Well, I mean, our code says that, you know, if you're developing on a collector arterial, you're supposed to have sidewalks. And then it gives the option that y'all can do a payment in lieu of fee. We had that issue a few years back, with the house,
Yes.
Mainland coming in, remember, we had that issue then. And it started coming up that there were some areas where we may not be uniformly applying this because there's some very large tracts of land on our collector arterial, and there was no reasonable to have a sidewalk there. And so I did try to get an ordinance to try to say, well, let's address it this way. City of Tampa had the same similar issue that we were having. I think one of the differences, or something I would like to know the answer to is, I've heard the county said they don't require it. There's a difference between the county saying they don't require it and the county saying they won't permit it. Those are really two different things. If they say we're not going to allow there to be a sidewalk in our right of way on that side of the road because there's a sidewalk on the other side of the street, well, there's nothing we can do. It's the county's road, they own it. It's Charter County, they have a lot of power over the city. Roger can go talk to them, maybe he can sway them one way or another. But if they're saying we're not going to require it, but city, you can require it, well, that's a different issue. So I think maybe that's the distinction that we need to know. If the county is saying, not only we're not going to require it, but we're also not going to issue a permit, and you have to have a permit to alter our right of way, then our hands are tied.
I thought I heard what Jim said, they said they weren't permanent.
I've heard they won't require it, I've heard they don't permit, so there's a difference to me, is they may not require it, but that doesn't mean they prohibit us from regulating it, but they may prohibit another sidewalk from being put in their right of way.
Mr. Sophie, could you please clarify for me, the document that you're reading from, the roadways in that document, are they clarified as within the city or as belonging to? Because
It doesn't, it says, it's
Does that
on
make a difference?
11.05.00, it says projects abutting collector arterial facilities shall provide sidewalks adjacent to the collector arterial roadways.
Doesn't differentiate.
Doesn't differentiate between what's in the city and the county. It's very common, those type of roadways go in and out of, one jurisdiction to another jurisdiction. It could go from Lake Island to maybe Orange City or something like that, same road. And Orange City wouldn't require it, but we would, just as you go through different jurisdictions. But now you have a county road in our city. And if the county is saying they will not allow will not issue a permit to install a sidewalk in their right of way because there is a sidewalk on the other side of the street, I think that's kind of the end of the discussion. We're done. But I don't know if they're saying they won't issue it or they're just not going to require it.
well, this first one says not opposed to waiving the requirement for a sidewalk, and the second, that is for the Lake Helen Osteen Road, And for Lakeview Drive, it says no sidewalk is required by the county at this location.
Sure. So does that mean they still will issue the permit if the city requires it? I don't know.
It also not having a sidewalk on both sides of Lakeview is in opposition to the downtown master plan that was developed by the city years ago, that has been put on the shelf and has been collecting dust. So if we're going to abide by the downtown master plan to get commercial activity and everything, then we need to have the sidewalks that the master plan requires. And this would be one step in getting towards that level.
Well, one thing that we, because it talks about paying in a sidewalk fee, in lieu of fee instead of building the sidewalk. What I've talked to our bond council about was trying to come up with a way that we could just do an assessment on all construction for sidewalks. And then we take that assessment, when they come through the permitting, we decide where that money gets spent. And he had concerns with that because there was not benefit necessarily to assess the property if it was a long way from their property, not sidewalk to serve their property. So we looked at it, and then it got to the point where I put together an ordinance and went to the planning board. What I was told is the planning board was going to come back and tell you all just enforce the code you got, but they never did, and we never had that meeting. That's where we're at.
I think we were talking about that type of assessment, it would fall into the same thing that the other assessments do that are on construction. And that it's got to be within a certain distance.
Yeah, there's got to be a benefit.
Certain area.
There's got to be a benefit analysis. That was a concern. So we explored it, trying to come up with a different way. There's an ordinance out there I did to try to tweak this language some to address concerns that we were going to collect very large fees from people on very large properties where there weren't going to be sidewalks built. It wasn't practical to put a sidewalk there. It just never went anywhere.
But, are you looking for a motion, or is this just for discussion?
No, we need a decision.
Okay. Before we do that, we have public comments. Anyone would like from the public?
You want the motion for them to comment on?
Oh, yeah. Yes, he's got one. Yeah, give us a motion.
I make a motion that we give them a temporary CO and table the sidewalk issue for more information.
Do we have a second?
I will second for discussion purposes.
Okay. So, now, Bill? Fine? Police?
His separate issue. His item has been added to the
Oh, yeah.
quasi-judicial.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Sidewalks. Caleb. Thank you for that.
All right, I'm back again about sidewalks. Kayla Troy, 664 McKenzie Road. This has been ongoing. We find all these places in Lake Helen where a sidewalk may not work. And so we have this kind of blanket ordinance, and we have a history of it not really fitting every spot in Lake Helen. So I have a couple things I just want you to think about. We are an equestrian city. We have a lot of water retention going on. Do we need more concrete on both sides of our roads in lieu of equestrian trails, green space? I kind of feel like it's more dangerous to require, when there's already a sidewalk on the other side, a segment of a sidewalk that may or may not be completed in the next 10 years. Who is going to use that without having to cross the road, get to an already almost finished sidewalk? I would rather that you as a commission maybe look at our overall downtown plan Where do we already have sidewalks? Where do we have sidewalks that are used that need to be repaired? Why are we spending so much time trying to figure out how to enforce everyone in Lake Helen having to have a sidewalk when sometimes it's not safer? Our comp plan talks about equestrian trails. We don't have anything really like that to accommodate. And again, it doesn't contribute to our green space. So that's all. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Okay, we got a motion, we got a second. Call for the vote. Zone 1,
No.
Zone 2,
Yes.
Zone 3,
No.
Zone 4.
No.
I guess I'll say no. Thank you.
Be prepared for a new motion.
Another motion?
For a new motion.
New motion on the
Since
same.
we turned down the one that
Oh,
Vice Mayor made.
you have another motion?
I have one.
You have one. Oh, okay, I thought you were pointing at him. I'm sorry.
Apologies for the confusion. One comment I do want to make is that, we have other buildings that have been established on Lakeview, predominantly our city hall, and that doesn't have a sidewalk in front of it. So if we're going to enforce this standard, I think it should start with us. We do have a lot of contradictions. I'm in agreement with that. I care about the safety, but we do have a sidewalk on the other side. I'm going to defer to what the county is saying. And so for that reason, I think that we need to approve the COA for 1071 Lake Helen OC Road with no conditions. Oh, see. Oh, we're putting it together. Okay. Yeah, we could put 157 South Lakeview Drive with it as well.
So would you clarify that, Commissioner? Would you clarify that motion? I'm sorry.
Approve as is
Approve as it is. Okay.
On
Second.
both pieces.
on A and B. And Commissioner Bishop seconded, correct? Okay.
Okay. Discussion? Anyone? Motion. Second. Vote. Zone 1.
Yes.
Zone 2.
No.
Zone 3.
Yes.
Zone 4.
Yes.
I'll say yes. Okay. Moving right along. The RV. It's 487 Jackson Street, RV permit has been asked to be extended for an additional 2 weeks. The application was put in. The reason for the request is temporary parking for living quarters for the RV. Person that was put out for because of the storm, I guess. So they're asking for an extension of 2 weeks. Discussion? Motion.
I can't imagine the circumstance that they're going through, and it's really unfortunate. It's a shame that we have neighbors suffering like that because of that storm. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve this extension.
Second.
Motion. Move. Motion second. Zone 1.
Public comment.
Oh, public. Is there someone from the public? Okay. Hearing none. Zone 1.
Yes.
Zone 2.
Yes.
Zone 3.
Yes.
Zone 4.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Now we're moving to Mr. Allen Cook Jr., who would like to comment.
He's just added the presentation.
Just added.
Some other people that are already on there, that's just added
All right.
to.
I got more pages here than I
again, it's confusing.
Okay, okay. Alex, could you wait for 1 second? Okay. We have public comments.
I think it's called, or you should call it public.
All right, blue forms. Now we have Mr. Bill's list.
No, that's on for number 10.
All right.
That's involving 165 Water Street.
Yeah.
This is the other yellow cards that have.
7, Strawberry Festival.
Moratorium. This is for water. This is for D. And this is for stormwater. That's it. Public comments for
Oh, public forum?
public forum.
Mayor, did these get additions, deletions, and modifications?
That was in the
No,
beginning.
no.
That's why we made the modification.
That's a sheet of paper.
I didn't, yeah, and I didn't think about deletions or additions.
Yeah, those are the additions. There was no deletion. Yes, ma'am.
I'm here for public comment. This
Okay.
is the proper time.
What's your name?
My name is Suzanne Shiver. I turned in
Yes.
the one for water.
Oh, okay, that's what we're missing here. So you're in for water.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now we put in Susan Shire. Shire,
Correct, Shiver.
thank you. You may proceed.
Ready?
Yes?
Okay. I'm Suzanne Shiver. My organization is Green Green Volusia. My discussion tonight is on drinking water. If you've never heard of PFAS, it stands for per and polyfluoroalkyl, in layman's terms, forever chemicals. These forever chemicals pollute our water, ruin our health, and our economy. The chemicals build in our bodies and cost an estimated $1.5 billion a year in deaths and illnesses, including but not limited to cancer, heart attacks, and strokes. An example of PFAS is in firefighter foam. Our organization took water samples for a PFAS study conducted by a team at the University of Florida. The study on PFAS in Florida's freshwater springs was published in Science of the Total Environment. In this study, 50 freshwater Florida springs were analyzed. The springs with the highest concentration of PFAS were Green, Blue, and Gemini Springs. The springs that were most contaminated were all within a 10-mile radius of Deltona. The cities within the 10-mile radius are Orange City, Deltona, Lake Helen, DeBary, and DeLand. In 2022, we did a PFAS study with CycloPure Labs from the residents' unfiltered tap in Deltona and Lake Helen. The results coincided with the UF results. Turning attention specifically to Lake Helen, the 2022 U.S. Water Services Assessment revealed the city has 2.7 miles of asbestos cement pipes that need replacement. The roads would need repaving as well. Asbestos pipes thin over time and pose a serious health risk. So why am I here and what is it that I want you to know? The federal government requires that PFAS compliance monitoring to agencies begin in 2027 and compliance with maximum contaminant levels be met by 2029. Do you understand that no one will meet these deadlines if they don't start today? With the federal government passing $3 billion available for PFAS testing and infrastructure, please don't delay in pursuing funding. Reverse osmosis treatment plants are one of the most effective filtration systems to remove PFAS contaminants in water. We asked the Volusia delegates on Monday to pursue funding for PFAS water testing and education, reverse osmosis filtration, starting with Lake Helen, then Orange City, DeBary, and DeLand, and replacing the 2.7 miles of asbestos cement pipes and roads specific to Lake Helen. Monday night of this week, the Deltona Commission unanimously voted to accept the Ferrero Law Firm as representation in a PFAS litigation suit for their water, showing the reality of the issue. Thank you for your time. And actually, the Volusia Delegates meeting was on Tuesday, not Monday. That was a slip up on my part. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just like to thank Ms. Schreiber for asking the delegation to senators and state representatives to fund Lake Calvin and to put us front of the line. I think that was very gracious of her, and a lot of work and research has gone into this. This is published information that she has.
Very good.
And our master plan identified those areas where the asbestos pipe needed to be replaced and everything, and it's in, I'm not exactly sure if it's short or long term or medium term, but it is in our master plan for majority of the pipes in Lake County, including all the asbestos pipes to be replaced sometime in the hopefully near future.
Do we know where they're located?
Yes, they know where they're all located at.
So into the public comments. Wendy? Wendy Q? We've already dealt with this. This is the extension for the RV. So we've already, she's not here. She's not. She's already gone. Okay. Ron Parrott? Stormwater?
Ron Parrott, 451 West Michigan. That was a great presentation, and I was hoping that somebody would ask, is this her firm that would maybe represent us to try to get some of this money to do the pipes? Because we're going after grants to do the same thing, right? But maybe they can do it and get the money cheaper than Kern. And that's what I'm kind of up here for, is going back to our master water plan. We spent how many thousands? 70,000 for a master water plan. We paid a company, the hire person, to tell us how much we need to save and how much we need to charge on our taxes to get enough money to do our master plan. But now, I sat into your workshop. Now we're going to add to our master plan. We're going to give engineers some more money to come up with more work. We haven't done any of the work. We don't have a budget. Our CA keeps on saying we don't have any money. So we made a plan that in 5 years we would be up, we have some money to implement some of these plans. So why are we putting the horse in front of the cart there? We got to think of this logically. You got to have the money before you start designing these projects. Because when we're going to design them, he's going to say it's $1 million or whatever. We're not going to have the million. We're not going to have the $500,000 if we go in for $500,000. So why are we doing this? Because when we do have the money, that project is going to be a different cost 5 years down the road. It's been the past. Well, you're doing a great job. I appreciate the labor you guys do. But it's been over the years since the city of Lake Helen did not plan for these big projects. Now we're starting to plan for the big projects, but now we're trying to say, let's get them done without any money. So, but I hope you really consider that about the water. You can tell our water is terrible. I see the city is buying bottled water for the employees. why aren't we drinking the water? If we got good water, why aren't we drinking out of the water fountain, but we're spending money on bottled water? Doesn't make sense. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep.
Kayla, did you raise your hand? Moratorium, yes.
Okay, so I watched your workshop from Tuesday before I made this, so I'm going to reference that a couple times. First off, I'm not against development. I'm also not against moratoriums within reason. My concern after hearing your workshop on Tuesday night was it sounded like talk of kind of a vague, large-scale moratorium. And some of you seemed more than ready to vote it into effect, but I hope that you will consider the impact it'll have to single residents looking to build on their land, whether they're residents or business owners. Edgewater just passed 2 new development moratoriums. One is to halt any building permits that impact the impervious surface in the Florida Shores Drainage Basin, which is one sensitive area in Edgewater. And the purpose was to protect the water drainage in that area, but it does not apply to all the building permits in all the other parts of the city of Edgewater. The second Edgewater moratorium is angled at large residential developments only, and it puts a temporary hold on annexations, rezoning, amendments, and approved plan unit development, comprehensive plan amendments, and preliminary and final plats. It also stops consideration of development applications that were submitted for review before the ordinance went into effect. Lake Helen may benefit from this type of moratorium. Annexations, rezoning, and amendments to the comp plan are typically not things a single property owner looking to build their personal home has to go through. These are actions a company looking to build an office on their properly zoned commercial property doesn't usually have to go through. Edgewater's development moratorium seems to be pointing more at large developers who may affect the city at a higher rate. Edgewater did not stop the development of single-family residential projects as a whole or regular complying commercial development. I'm asking you to do more research on the options you have to not just apply a blanket moratorium, but rather figure out which types of development are most detrimental to our city and maybe put a freeze on those. Large developments can cause a tremendous impact to our land, our waterways, our traffic, and our infrastructure. My recommendation would be to look into how impervious surface affects the stormwater drainage. Maybe lowering the impervious surface allowance for large developments could make a positive impact. In my opinion, and I've said this for years, your time would also be greatly appreciated reviewing the sidewalk ordinance, which is also a blanket ordinance. My final point for your consideration is that the city will always need income. Building permits, impact fees, and taxes are how the city finds the funds to even begin to start looking at better ways to function. To cut off building of any kind with what seems like a new knee-jerk moratorium would not help us as citizens, business owners, or as a city as a whole. Please take time to do more research, talk to more property owners and the city staff to hear about the possible negative effects of a one-size-fits-all building moratorium. Thank you.
Thank you. All that said, now we're in number 7. Alan Cook.
Alan Cook Jr., 849 Pleasant Street. I'd first like to thank everybody for making this 2024 season of Butler's Express magical once again. This was our 7th year doing it this past season. I would like to thank the city and the city staff for their efforts working together with us. I would like to thank the Saddle Club for their help. They were very more than accommodating to move their schedule around to help accommodate us, so I'd like to thank them. So many people and citizens are involved in some way, shape, or form with helping us spread the Christmas spirit. I like to try, obviously I see them when I'm out with the train, and I like to go thank those citizens personally. And I started doing it, I still got some more to do, but I like to go thank them personally and show them how much they are loved and appreciated, because I hear that a lot from a lot of people, the riders, that, hey, that's really cool that the citizens come out, so I like to, go show them. And one of the ways we show them, the Collins family that owns the Honey and Clay store, they're very generous and donated some t-shirt vouchers, gift certificates per se. And when those people that I go see out on the route that came out and went above and beyond to show us some love, I give them a gift certificate for a t-shirt. They had a whole Butler's Express thing in there in the store this year, which was very, very nice of them. So I give those people that, and usually just a handshake and a thank you is good enough, but they're more than happy to get a free t-shirt too. We also, on the same token with the free t-shirts, this year when we did the light contest winners, the Honey and Clay store gave me gift certificates for t-shirts for those winners too, so the Collins family has been very good to us. I'd like to thank Angelo Rotundo of Rotundo Construction for his contribution this year. He stepped up once again in fronted the prize money for the nativity contest, that prize portion for that in the light contest. He graciously came up with the $300 for the winner for that, so I'd like to thank him. And he also goes above and beyond for us. He kind of knows somebody that does live in the North Pole, so he has him on speed dial, so I'd like to thank him for all his efforts there of making the Christmas season so great and showing Lake Helen some love. The light contest. We had 17 entries this year. We had 40 judges that came aboard on the train this year. And I looked around the room, I don't think anybody's here. But I went and picked up the signs from the folks actually yesterday, the yard signs, and told them we were having a meeting. Some of them said they might try to make it, but either way, I know Roxanne's got some forms, so I'll be glad to deliver them. But just so you guys know, the light contest winners for the 2024 season, because we didn't have a December meeting, the Myers family, which is at 310 Goodwin, they won for a Griswold Award. The Webb family was at 520 Mackenzie Road, and they won for a traditional. The Teresi family, which was at 320 West Main Street, they won for inflatable award. And the Gill family, which was at 312 Lake Pearl Drive, won for a nativity award this year. Obviously, like I said, we gave out over $1,000 in prize money. Along with the gifts, I gave them train tickets, VIP train tickets to ride the train, along with the t-shirts from the Collins family, and obviously the cash for the prizes. So over $1,000 in value was given there this year. The next thing we did this year, working in collaboration with Heather, we did Lake Helen Donation Night again. We call it Lake Helen Night. It was on December 2nd. It was a little chilly that night, but hey, it is Christmas. We had approximately 250 people ride that night. And from my math, looking back on the 2023 season, it was about 100 people less than last year. But our donations were around $1,200 this year, what was put in the bucket. We don't name any prices. We just some people give a lot, some people give nothing, and we just leave that up to them. But we did raise over $1,200. And then after that, some of our vendors helped with some donations that night as well. My man Popcorn Joe back there gave all his money from the night of the popcorn and the cocoa. He gave me all his money. And there were some other vendors that helped contribute. Then there was also some citizens that gave me money throughout the month. Hey, here's some money for that. And it did add up. So I'm happy to say that I do have a check for the city here with me tonight for $3,000 to go towards the lights in our gym. That's awesome. So, is pretty cool to see that, everybody does come out in the city and support it, and they really do truly love it, and I'm glad that we can do it. Our family and our friends have so much fun doing this for Lake Ellen, although it is a lot of work and it consumes so much of our time at the holidays, but we do truly we do enjoy it. The payback we see is in the smiley faces, the magic of the holidays. It makes it very worth it, paying it forward like that. Thank you to all of you that support this and help the tradition and this piece of Lake Ellen history continue year after year. I'm also pleased to inform you that this coming year, 2025 season, will be a big milestone for the train, for the Butler's Express, and for the city of Lake Ellen. Most people aren't aware, but when I did purchase the blessing and got the blessing from the Butler family, they did give me a lot of history with it, a lot of photos. And this year, let me go back. In 1975, that train came to Lake Ellen. Now, obviously, the train existed before that in Pennsylvania, but that train came to Lake Ellen in 1975. So this will be our 50th anniversary, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, we do need to figure out, obviously, I want to do something special because of that this year, so we might have something special in the works, and if you guys get any opinions of that, I'd be glad to hear it. But 50 years is pretty cool, pretty long time. And again, it's Lake Ellen, it's the Butler Express, it's all that together. So thank you again, and I guess Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Alan, I'd just like to say to you that you're probably the foremost ambassador of Lake Ellen, because there's more people that came to that train ride that comes into the city, along with the stress buster. Thousands of people came into our city, and it took a big heart for you to do what you do, and we can't say anything else but thank you for what you've done.
Well, thank you. It was definitely a blessing in disguise when the family gave me their blessing to and trusted me with that. So it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one more thing while I have the floor. Gym community group stuff. As many of you know, we did cease and we did not sign a new lease. We did not new contract up with you guys, but there was funds there in our account from stuff we had done, and obviously we wanted to close that out at end of year. So we did close that out. I was hoping to have the checks, but I got them. Justin that has the checks. He was late from work, so I wasn't able to meet up with him tonight before the meeting. But we did take. We had like $3,743 in our account. So I did talk to a few of some of the people around town. I did talk to some of the commissioners about it, what we should do. And basically we came up with, we're going to divide the money up 4 ways out of our account. It's already done. One check is being wrote, or has been wrote to Outside the Gates Food Pantry at the Methodist Church for their food stuff. One was wrote to the Lake Ellen League for Better Living, and they'll obviously use the money for Lake Fest or whatever else they got going. I know they'll make good use of it. Massey James Center, they will receive a check. And I did talk to Heather, and I know she's probably gonna bring it up at Arbor Day. I don't want to steal her thunder, but we did do some stuff there, and we did give you guys $900. Basically, there's 4 checks. Each check was wrote for $935.75, and that, sadly enough, it closes that account out and officially puts that to rest. But hopefully, the money will go to good use.
Thank you so much for what you do in our community. I'm absolutely blown away by what you accomplished with Light Up Lake Ellen. I was not expecting. That's tremendous. $3,000 again this year was my socks off. I'm not even going to lie to you. And the generosity from the Gem Station for Arbor Day and continuing to support that program has helped us to expand the program this year. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
I'd also like to offer my support to Heather for her efforts in initiating this Christmas fundraising effort. If anybody went by City Hall this year, you've seen the lights that last year's program was able to install. And I'm hoping with the new influx of money, either City Hall's lights expands or another area of the city gets lit up with it. And I know Heather will do a great job in doing that also.
So we're moving along on 7A, which would be the Strawberry Festival. Do we have someone to speak to us for that?
Good evening, Richard Buckler, Buckler Promotions, 1697 Doyle Road in Deltona. For the past couple of years, we've been putting on the Strawberry Festival here at the Lake Helen Equestrian Center. And here we're hopefully going to conclude the matter of request for alcohol service at that event. I know it's something newer to Lake Helen, but just a little bit of a recap. We do a family event. As you've seen, we've had a very calm event the past 2 years. We actually only serve alcohol at the request of the patron. That's not an alcohol-based event. It's not a concert. There's no nighttime activities. There's no wrestling matches, anything like that. It's a very calm event. We've never had any issues in the past. And mainly, it is a way for not only to bring more people in, but also to fundraise for our local charities that help us out. In this case, it's the Boys and Girls Club. And let you know that alcohol service, as far as goes, means nothing to our company because we have a nonprofit, a professional company that does it for us. By state statute, we cannot retain any money from those sales. It must be a pass-through, it must go to a charity. So they take half to their charities, we take half and filter it through to our charities. And one of our main ones that we have, like I said, is the Boys and Girls Club. Because they actually staff the event, they do the volunteering for the activities, they partake in the income from part of the gate, from the eating contest sales, and then if they supply even one volunteer to the alcohol pavilion, they get 5% of the intake for the net of the income for there, along with half the tips. And someone asked me last time, well, what does that amount to for the Boys and Girls Club? Just the alcohol part for them. On a smaller show like Orange City, which is our smallest, was over $430 just in that side money for them. Palm Coast, which is another one they do for us, that one's a little bit larger. That gets about 13,000 people. That one was over $600. That was extra income for them, in addition to the other income they're making from the show. So for very, very little effort, they do make quite a bit of money from that. To give you a comparison, the eating contest, which also all goes to Boys and Girls Club. Someone has to go out there and have to convince somebody to enter a contest, convince them to pay $5. Of course, there's food costs that are involved in that. We kind of keep that ourselves in the prizes. A good eating contest participation for one round is 15 tickets. That's $75. There's 3 rounds per day, so that's $225 per day, $450 total. So that one person that's working the alcohol pavilion could net them more money in a show that size than all the people that work the pie eating contest for the entire weekend. So it does make a difference to the people who are filtering the money to. But for us, like I said, it's just a request for the patrons. We found a way to do it safely, efficiently, and to benefit the community. So on that note, I've actually brought some of my folks. These are folks from the Boys and Girls Club that have worked the event. They can tell you how they go and what the benefit is.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Stephanie Eklund, Director of Development for Boys and Girls Club Evolution Flagler. And I just want to say what a phenomenal group of people the Buckler shows are. We have been providing all of their volunteers for, I believe, the last 4 or 5 years. And we have had donations in excess of over $20,000 per year just from these festivals. So it has been a huge support to our boys and girls of Boys and Girls Club. And so just want to say thank you. Thank you and how much it really means to us.
You guys work a lot, so.
I'm Yvette Roman of the Lake Helen Boys and Girls Club, unit director. We've been here since 1999, and situations like this or fundraising like this helps us keep our doors open. Currently, we are able to serve members ages 6 to 18 at no cost. We operate from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we provide those opportunities with organizations and fundraising such as this. So, and you can check us out online, Boys and Girls Club of Volusia, Flagler counties, and just see all the things that we do. And I will hand it off to Mr. Dustin. He is over there, my left-hand man. So, right hand, left hand.
Hey, I am Justin Sanders. I am the program director at the Lake Helen Boys and Girls Club. I've been there for closing in on my 10th year. So some of y'all might remember Chance McElveen. I kind of learned under him, now with Yvette. All I can say is, in terms of the impact that this fundraising does, if you ever happen to be around Lake Park, you probably see me out there with a group of like 20, 25 kids running games, all sorts of stuff. A lot of people know me and I don't know them, so it's a lot of that. But the fundraising efforts that you guys allow us to do plays a major part in kind of the impact, whether it's club members who start off when they're 6 and then they come back and visit the club looking to give back, or just an overwhelming amount of like memories that the kids leave with. You guys allow us to play a big part in that. So.
Thank you, Lake Helen.
Again, this is also a way to bring more people in and around Lake Helen. I've been surprised when I've been facility and location scouting, how many hours away I can drive and take people, oh yeah, you're the one that from Lake Helen. So it's not even just the close people, it's people who have driven for a while coming to the Lake Helen Strawberry Festival. So once again, we're trying to make it more comfortable for them and make it more comfortable for the Boys and Girls Club. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions? Scott, would I have to, if it does come to a vote, I doesn't have a motion or a second, I would have to abstain with that. I'm on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club.
It would probably be best to.
That's what I thought. So I can argue the point, but I can't vote on it. So any vote would have to be between the 4 of you. That being said, Ms. Stephanie is her position in the Boys and Girls Club is also, we have a program called the Grant Writing Program. And as a result of that, you got a hand up?
Yeah, I was saying something right. How are you? I just wanted to ask him a question. When we come up and go through the whole process.
Hold on 1 second.
Just real quick.
Yeah, oh, all right, okay, come on.
Is it about alcohol in the Strawberry Festival?
No, we're not on Strawberry Festival yet. Yeah, I mean, we are on the alcohol part.
Serving alcohol there. What kind of alcohol are you talking about? Are you talking about like a strawberry punch or something that kind of relates to the festival? Or are you talking about, major brands?
It's a little of both. They have just like regular brands of beer and seltzers and stuff like that. We usually have special drinks still that are there, like a strawberry daiquiri or the strawberry vodka lemonade, things like that are themed to the show. Those are actually the more popular.
It's more about the alcohol content and the proof of what you're serving or you're trying to ask the town to serve. Like if I thought it was based around the actual strawberry festival, strawberry punch, strawberry wine, strawberry items, I don't know. And that's what we're trying to include vodka, White Claw, and everything else too on top of it.
There's vodka in the mixes. They don't just serve shots.
Yeah, RTDs, stuff like that. Okay, so you're trying to serve RTDs and strawberry products for the festival?
Yes.
Okay.
That's ready to drink.
The point I was getting ready to make is that Stephanie's also as a part of our grant finders. It's a program that we purchased several years ago, just to give some context. And in that program, we were able to secure a number of grants that were available, and she was one of the architects of that. And this is something I brought up to this commission a number of occasions. So just the fact that she's affiliated with this as well as the Boys and Girls Club, it does provide a lot of opportunities for our kids. So now, any questions, any motions, or?
I make a motion, we approve this request for serving the alcohol beverage.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Let me go another way before we go to discussion, yeah. Before we vote, we're gonna have this discussion. Okay, so you can sit and roll. Go ahead.
My question is for our police chief.
Chief.
Chief, I'd like to hear from you as you are crowd control and all things safety within our city. We haven't done an event of this magnitude with alcohol before. I've heard from a lot of members of the public since the last time we gathered and spoke on this, and there's a lot of people in favor of this that I wasn't aware of. So what is your professional opinion on allowing these beverages?
My professional opinion is it wouldn't hurt to allow it. The drinks are not cheap, I'll be honest with you. So you're not going to have people go on there to try one on. You're not going to spend $100, to drink enough alcohol to get drunk off of. If they're going to be drunk, they're going to show up drunk, they're going to drink it. And if we have to remove somebody from the property because they're too intoxicated, we just make it. So I don't think it'll be an issue with us at all.
Okay, and we have the proper staffing, or would we need an additional officer for this reason?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear too. In our first discussion, it sounded as though the area that the alcohol would be served is also going to be contained in a segment away from major crowd. Is that your understanding?
I don't know. I'm familiar with the layout of the Strawberry.
Where he is? Where is he? That's the question. Where is he?
He's coming. He's coming.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. The question was the location of the alcohol is in a specific place.
No, we don't have like a beer garden or anything because, like I said, with being a family event and not focused on that, Dad likes to have a beer while the kids ride the monster truck. Mom might want to have a glass of wine while she waits for the kids to get off hours at the bounce houses. So we let them flow freely, but the entire area is encased in a fence. There's only two ways out: the emergency way and the entrance. And the entrance has signage posted. It has people monitoring. If anybody tries to walk anywhere other than that area, when they walk out, they're going to say, "Hey, can you please finish that inside and dispose of it right in this can?" And if not, we call one of these guys.
Actually, it's not illegal to have a container like that. So we're not correct.
And then we also offer the opportunity for you guys to say, continue to find you. I'm open to that too.
The question I also asked, how do you card the purchases?
Okay, Pam Santos was here the first time. She left you all some information. But what they do is when one person takes the customer up there, sees a valid ID. Once they have been ID'd, they have to be banded or stamped. Once they're banded or stamped, they move on to the next person to pay for their drink, then they get their service. So the person who's on IDs, that's all they're focused on, making sure you got an ID. You cannot buy a drink for another person. You cannot buy 5 drinks and say they're for you. You come up, you buy your drink, or the person standing with you buying 2 drinks, they're standing with you, show their ID also, or their mark, and move on. Should you show up 1 too many times and they even suspect, they'll offer you a free bottle of water and say to come back and see them in a couple hours.
That was the question I had. Any more discussion? Thank you, Chief. Public comment?
Is legal counsel still up to? Any liability?
And
you turned it down once.
any comments?
I have a comment.
Yes, come to the microphone, state your name.
My name is John Kinnear, at 129 Royal Park Road. I do believe there is a city ordinance that restricts the selling of alcohol within a certain distance, a school or church.
Right.
So I recommend you check that and make sure that that's still within the rules that you already have established.
Yeah, we have had to deal with that a couple of times when I was on the board with regards to Ivy Hahn. There was a place that wanted to have alcohol, even the Creative Arts Fair. I think where they're going to be serving at is going to be out in the equestrian station.
I just want to make sure that you make
I
sure
would
that
take that
there's
into
a, I
consideration.
believe it's either 1,500 feet or 1,000 feet. It's been a couple of years since I saw that,
Yeah.
but I would recommend you check and make sure that that's within the
It-
rules.
it
That
will
way
be.
you don't set a precedent that is allowed for other events too, which don't meet with the city, with the current city rules that we already have.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any more further discussion?
Just want to stop. Are you looking up the alcohol thing?
For what?
Are you looking up that alcohol?
The distancing?
Yeah.
I don't see it in there.
I think it was a,
There's no school or church within 1,500 feet.
right. I think when the gas station wanted to go to 24 hours, and we amended it so that it would allow for it to go to 24 hours. And in that amending, we left something out that was a loophole, where it could have been used to some other access to it. But that, I remember, it was brought up so that when they did 24 hours, they had to change their time. They had to stop selling at a certain time at night. They couldn't sell all the way around the clock. But that was a loophole that was brought up at the time. It may not affect this at this point, but at least something to consider.
That was just an old ordinance, it's like from, I think, 1989, that we've never changed.
Right.
It's Monday through Thursday from 8 AM till 12 PM. Friday and Saturday is till 2 AM, and then on holidays, they can serve till 2 AM.
There you go.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. One more comment, based on the liability comment, question.
Come up to the mic.
Sure. For the liability question, there's additional insurance. Of course, the vendor of the alcohol, the nonprofit, carries their own liquor liability insurance, but we voluntarily, when any show is being serviced, we carry an additional, even though we're not required to, carry additional liability insurance for alcohol. And it would be on the COI that we present to you before the event happens. Yes, sir.
And based on your comments, it sounds like you're also following the safe serve alcohol guidelines?
Yes, sir. That should have been one of those things on their papers. They follow the safe serve. And part of that is making sure that people are separate in their duties.
Yeah, 'cause we use the same thing at the American League.
Are you familiar?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, we've had a motion, we've had a second. We have discussion. Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And not in voting.
You might have to go zone by zone.
Okay, that's a good idea.
You
Zone
ask, I
four,
answer.
zone 4 is no. Zone 3,
Yes.
zone 1. 1, 2, either one. These guys can on the button.
Yes. For zone 2.
Zone 1. Yes.
I'm concerned about the precedents that this is going to set.
Can I just interject, since I'm not voting, then a 2-2, what would a 2-2 tie bring? It will kill it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
2 noes, 2 yeas, motion fails. Moving right along.
Sorry, and I appreciate what the Boys and Girls Club is doing, and it was a very hard vote for that reason. I'm so sorry. I'm just concerned about the bigger picture. I just wanted to clarify.
You have that right to vote your opinion.
It was okay.
You don't have to, you don't have to answer for it. That's the good thing about being on a commission. You make your decision, and we all live with it. Thank you so much for that. Moving down to the 7B, lead pipe servicing and resolution 2025-01. Yes, please.
Resolution number 2025-01, by title only for first and only reading. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Lake Allen relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing a loan application, authorizing a loan agreement, establishing pledge revenues, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflicts and severability and effective date.
You got the floor.
It's a mouthful of a resolution. So this is essentially for SRF funding program that is due to the EPA's ruling on lead service line inventory. And so their ruling was essentially that every city throughout the country had to do an inventory by October of 2024. And so that inventory is in progress right now. It's about 90% complete for the community. And so this resolution essentially gives you the ability to submit the application for the funding that's available for this program, which the funding specifically for Lake Helen would be $192,500, I believe is the bill number. And that would be at a 49% principal forgiveness rate. And so the remaining 51% would be at through a loan through the State Revolving Fund. That would be a 20-year loan, and the expectation would be at a very low interest rate at not zero.
We don't have no choice in this, right? I mean, it has to be done.
Well, that part being done, the funding of it will either come 100% out of our pocket, or we can take advantage of the SRF and get 50%.
But I'm saying we have to replace
forgiveness.
it. We have no choice in that, right? Okay.
It's not a replacement, and so it's an inventory. And so the inventory is basically seeing if you have any lead service lines. And this application would cover the construction if there were any needed to be replaced.
And we did budget, the budget that you approved, we budgeted the full amount without any state funds or what have you. So because we had to have it done by October, so that would be an opportunity for us
to get some
of that back.
This is the first time I've heard about this. You know, I thought the package, so maybe I'm a little confused. So Mayor, if you don't mind, can I ask a few questions? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, the air conditioning must have been out, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry. That's my voice, what can I say? Exactly. So, are you saying this is kind of split up 50-50, where we're going to be getting money from the state or the federal government, and then we're going to be paying for another portion as a city loan that we pay back at a low interest rate?
It comes off like it's split up, but it's through the same program. And so you're taking out the full amount, which is $192,500. 49% of that, the principal is forgiven.
And who's giving that to us?
The state. So it goes through the SRF. And so it's all the same program. The remaining 51% that would be a loan to the city of Lake Helen, that would be a 20-year loan is the expectation, very low, if not 0%.
Okay, and what is the 15%? It's listed in here, interest, 15% interest.
No, that's not interest.
That's not an interest. Maybe what is that interest?
So So this is just the application that this resolution's around. And so hopefully the expectation is by the next meeting, if this passes, you'll have a loan agreement in place in front of you that you can then vote on as a separate resolution if you want to accept the terms of that agreement. But this is solely an application.
What you're referring to is in section 3C, pledge revenue receipts and collections by project sponsor must exceed the amount of the repayment due to the departments unless there are other collateral. The excess revenue is generally 15% of the repayment. So that's the 15%. What is the coverage in?
Well, actually, I'm looking at page 11, terms and repayment. And then it starts off with A, loans for planning and design. And then what is the useful life of the project? It would be 30 years, I presume. And over how many years would you like to amortize the loan? So that's 10 years, and it's going to be paid back, I guess, through water utility.
Correct.
What coverage is proposed for the loan? States 15%, and it says coverage percentage.
That's your pledged revenue receipts.
So we've got to pledge 15% of the 190,000.
No, what that is it's a revenue requirement that it's called coverage, that the charges that we levy will exceed the payments back by 15%. So you take your annual or however often you make the debt payment, and you at least have to have 115% revenue to cover that payment. So it's not an interest that we pay. It is very common in all loans governmental entities do. They just want to make sure you commit to charging sufficient fees to cover the payment. So it's called a coverage factor.
Kind of like collateral.
I really wish we had had some workshops on this because with me reading through it, not hearing anything about it, I really have a lot of questions. I hate to leave the table without having answers to my questions.
We
There's a
budgeted
lot.
the full amount, so we don't have to go to the state for any funds, and we can just pay the 192 out of our pocket. That's the
We don't
alternative.
have that kind of money.
Well, we budgeted.
We
for it.
budgeted for it, so this was already all discussed.
Just giving us money back.
But we budgeted out of the utility.
Yeah, the utility pays.
Well, yeah, when I was looking at the utility amounts and how they're gonna be going up, there's just a lot here.
As an increase in rates, it's based on the current rate structure.
So if we didn't use this loan, then we would pay $192,000. That would come out of our revenue, right?
Correct, you would be responsible for the
Okay, so by using this, 49% of it is forgiven.
Correct.
So we don't have to pay the 49%.
Correct, yeah, it's leveraging federal dollars that were set aside for
That's kind of speak for itself.
Well, and then I guess another question I had on the scope of work, which I thought that we had already been working on, that's what the scope of work says here is to perform a thorough inventory of the community existing water services. You mentioned that earlier, I think, in our workshop. But it looks like we're looking to develop a complete electronic database for all water services lines within the community's service area. Are we already doing that?
This was looking for lead and copper lines, so as each meter was being retested, we were able to check and see. This is a specific federal mandate that we had to meet by October of this last year, 2024. This was discussed prior. This was discussed prior to the budgeting process. That's why we put the $200,000 in the budget.
just, a lot of questions on it.
Well, once again, this is an application to push forward the actual program, and so you'll have a loan agreement in front of you at a separate meeting, a separate resolution. So, you still, this isn't, you're basically approving to push through an application to then get the agreement in front of you that you can read through at that point.
Well, and two, I see things like March, effective date, March 9th, 2022 is the bottom of the paperwork. And sort of, is this a template thing? How are we working this?
No, that's when the program opens.
That answers that question.
This is a application from DEP that's filled out, so the paperwork's provided with the information.
That's good to know too. Okay, that's my questions.
This is just one small step in improving our water quality. It goes along with removing the asbestos pipe that's going to come out in the future. This is one step. Got to do them step by step.
The question is, my question, in testing for it, how is it determined that this is lead? Do you have a sample system, or is there many of the pipes put in?
No, so it's a physical inventory. Physical is how it's done, yeah. And so we've been working, you guys were going through meter replacement at the same time that our team was doing the inventory, and so we've been working with the meter replacement company to do physical inventory on the service lines.
Yeah, one more thing. Over the years in the past, water pipes were made out of various different materials as developments came along, starting with wood and cast iron and everything. Well, when they came out with the iron pipes, they started stuffing the joints with lead compound to seal them. And then also there's then they went into galvanized pipe, which the galvanization is a lead-based coating that goes on the pipe. And then when they came out with copper pipes, there was a lead-based solder that would hold the pipes together. Then they went to the silver solder because they found out lead was bad. So this is going in and taking inventory of all the old pipes that we got to find out how many of them have lead that need to be removed. Because medically, lead is very it affects the brain to where it reduces the person's capability of remembering and getting a good education. That's why they eliminated lead paint out of buildings and all that other stuff. So this is just one step in the process to improve our water quality that we need to get done.
And the culprit is lead. That is the common denominator, whether it's in water, whether it's in a pipe, whether it's in, the lead is what it leaches into. This is coming from New York, lead paint. A lot of kids suffer from lead paint.
Yes.
Chips of paint gets easy.
So
the lead has, where we're at. The lead and the asbestos.
Yes.
Yeah, and then once we're done with the actual inventory, we'll put together a compliance and action plan around it. And so my project manager will come back to me and we'll do a presentation for you guys once everything's kind of wrapped up. We're hoping probably in the February timeline for that.
What you plan to present, it has to be accepted by the agency that mandated this? Or?
Yeah, it has to be submitted to it. So Volusia County runs through the health department, which then runs up to DEP, which obviously trickles up to EPA eventually. And so it does have to be submitted, and it does have to be on file, but our hope is that we won't find too much here in the community. We've done about 90%, we haven't done any so far.
And your scope of work is going to work well for at least marrying into a relationship with our meters and when we do the reading of our water consumption.
Yeah, it doesn't have any, the relation with the meter is that it's on your service line. And so your service line comes off of your main and goes to your actual residence. And so the same line that your meter's on is the same line that the inventory is done on. And so the relation to the meters was solely around this project was that it was being done at the same time.
I know we're currently having problems with some of our meters, so.
Yeah.
It's.
But the physical inventory was the only connection between the two. Other than that, it's kind of separate projects.
Is there a projected project completion date for this yet? I know it has to be done by 2027, correct? But is there a projected timeline?
Yeah, so I mean, the only thing that's going to lead to any type of projected outcome or construction is if we find physical inventory of it. And so if we don't, you're still going to be required to do testing and everything that you've already been doing ongoing in relation to it. But the construction aspect of it, we have to find lead for there to be completion. And then if there is, you know, you're well ahead of that time.
So I just have one more thing. So the last, I guess, 2 billable cycles, we paid over $60,000 due to the lead pipes. Forget the stormwater contract. So we paid over $60,000, which is in engineering consultant fees, I take it. I don't know if you've been actually looking for the lead pipes. So we've got the consulting fees, and then obviously we're gonna have to pay for materials. So how much more money could we possibly be looking at in materials along with consultant fees?
So the $192,000 that is part of this resolution would be tied to construction activities as well. And so until we figure out what your inventory is, we can't give you a good number of what that looks like. The hope is that, you know, you don't have any in your community, and then that number would obviously be zero for construction activities. But as far as the budgeted amount and the actual dollar amount within this loan application, it does cover construction activities as well. But we're too premature on our side to give you that exact number right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do have
You gotta make a motion first, don't we?
here. We just have one speaking on that. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-01.
I second.
Motion moved in second. Comment? Nancy? You want to speak on this before we vote?
I do. And actually, my questions are probably for this gentleman. Nancy Berry, 135 West Delaware. Recently, federal government allocated $3 billion available for lead pipe replacement. Is this a source for Lake Helen to utilize any of that $3 billion?
Yeah, so that's part of the program. I'm not sure the specific one that you're talking about for the $3 billion, but this is federal pass-through that the EPA has passed down for, specifically due to the lead service line inventory.
Okay, and you said that to date you've already inspected that approximately 90% of our lines in and down.
As of right.
Okay, so we still have 10% that is possible.
Sure.
So obviously, at some point, the loans need to be repaid. When will billing for the citizens, the consumers, us, the taxpayers, begin on this loan?
There are no tax dollars involved. It's out of your water utility, so there are no taxes involved. That's out of your rates, and your rates are over the program to pay for this. There's no increase in rates to that.
Okay, good, great.
Motion, second. Vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? So? Motion passed. Thank you. The next presentation is from Cohen Evans.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm Con Evans. I am representing the city on the FROC program. To remind everybody, that FROC program is the Florida Recovery Obligation Calculation. The city has received its calculations. This is done in two portions. It is A and B. It is done in debris removal and emergency measures, and both of those are set into 5 different categories. Categories are applicant experience, contract administration, documentation, policy and procedure, and procurement. In the emergency measures, the highest score that the city could receive is 60. The city received a 40 score. In the debris removal, the highest the city could receive is 60. The city received a score of 38. The first documentation you have is the disaster readiness assessment. That is all the information that I, along with your staff, inputted into the program, and in which they came upon this scoring. The next document you have is the abatement plan. This plan is to improve your scoring. It is items that the state has recommended for the city to do. The abatement plan that you have there has all of the state recommendations. And then the final documentation, which I apologize profusely, it is absolutely minuscule to read. But I printed out the larger ones where it has the questions that the state has asked and what the city, what I am recommending the city's response would be. If you would like, I'll go through the questions real quick, just.
What page?
I am now to the final.
It's loose.
This.
It's a,
Oh,
the
okay.
top one that you did.
Okay. Yep, I got it.
Okay. We're down, you have already completed the program, and now you're deciding whether or not you are going to continue activities to improve your score. You can leave as is, you can do more, you can do less. I just want to let you know, and at this time you are deciding whether or not to go ahead with the abatement plan that is in front of you. You are not approving any policy or procedure at this time. Would only be approving moving forward and having those items come in front of you in the recommended language. The first item that the state asks is, does the applicant have an approved labor policy or relevant employment agreement that outlines how employees will be paid during an emergency? The city does not, but I do have proper language for that can be added to the city's labor policy. Does the applicant have written an agreement to the labor policy that includes meals for employees and volunteers engaged in eligible emergency work, including emergency operation centers provided to the individuals that are receiving per diem? Also, the city can review and update the labor policy. I have language that can be added to that. Does the applicant have an emergency financial plan that identifies strategies to close the gap between the disaster event and the cost of the entity's financial capacity? I am stating that the city will work to create one of these. This is something that the city will have to decide a budget on and bring in your financial planners on to help create that type of plan. But you can tell the state that you will actively begin to start working towards that. Does the applicant have procedures to document inventory of their force account equipment, purchase equipment, and leased equipment? This also is a very large task. I cannot create this policy for you. That is something that the city will have to go out and get another consultant to do for you. Does the applicant have written procedures that require leasing versus purchasing analysis for the equipment cost? I do have language for this, but I need to let you know that this is an ordinance that will need to be changed. This will be your purchasing policy in your ordinances. So that takes a little bit longer than the abatement time is allotting. All abatement activities need to be completed by March 31st of this year. So I'm basically grabbing a slow through for you. So that's one item the applicant have written procedures requiring leasing versus purchasing analysis for equipment cost? That is also a purchasing policy change. Does the applicant have specific internal controls and procedures in place for duplication of benefits? The city will create these internal controls. I do have that language, and that will have to come back before you for approval. Does the applicant have written policies and procedures on how they will document their administrative costs? I also have that language, and that will come in front of you if you so choose to approve at a later date. Does the applicant have a debris management plan that has been reviewed by the Florida Emergency Management? The city does not have an emergency management plan. I do have a draft plan, and the city may be have to send that to the state at a later date. Does the applicant have a system in place to account for FEMA funds on a project-by-project basis? The city does not. This is an easy fix, and this will also include your financial planner will need to have a budget amendment to change that. And follow-up question is also, if yes, is the documentation evaluated or updated, and that is within your budget timeline, and how to update that. Next, does the applicant evaluate or update these standards of conduct? The city will adopt a policy and review the standards of conduct on an annual basis. Does the applicant have a written process for maintaining records sufficiently to detail the history of procurement in compliance with SRF 200? The city will work to adopt records maintenance policy in the near future. I do have a maintenance policy in draft that the city will be able to review and approve it so chooses. Does the applicant have written procedures in place to promote engagement and contracting of minority firms, small businesses, women business enterprises, labor surplus areas, firms in compliance with 2RFC? The city does not, so we will also work in adding that language as well. Does the applicant have written internal controls to place or perform cost price analysis before executing work or leveraging procurement contracts that are of dollar greater value than a simplified acquisition threshold? A lot of language to say yes. We will also include that into your policies. This also needs to include why contracts were not competitively bid. With this type of information, just more language that needs to be put into your policy. Does the applicant have written procedures to identify a transition point from a competitively bid contract as soon as the exigent or emergency ceased to exist? The city will look to adopt language identifying the transition point from emergency to normal competitive bid. That also will need to be changed in your procurement policy. Does the applicant's procurement policy or approved contract template require an applicable provision described in 2 SRR Part 2B, Appendix number 2 for federal awards? I do have that language, and I will also have that prepared for you. That will also be in your procurement policy. Does the applicant have pre-positioned contract, standby contract for debris removal activities in compliance with 2 SFR 200. With this, I have stated with them that we do have a contract in place. The city does have a contract in place. It was properly done by the city's procurement policy, particularly the portion that deals with mutual government collaboration. They seem to like to keep calling it piggybacking, and I keep explaining to them it is within the city's purchasing policy to work cooperatively with local governments. So, still working to get you points on that without inputting it. Does the applicant have a list of 2 or more pre-qualified vendors for debris removal activities? We have a resolution in which you approve approved about 6 or 7 of them, so I said yes. They're telling me it's the counties, and I said, but it is approved by the city, so I'm still working on that. And does the applicant have written procedures on how they will maintain contractor oversight to ensure that the contractors perform in accordance with terms, conditions, specifications of their contracts or purchase order? And we will create documentation to outline that contractor oversight. So, I will take questions.
So you said right now, the most we can get is a score of 60.
Yes.
And we're at right now at 38 and 20 at 2 of them. And what they're asking for, what you can provide, can bring that score up.
Correct.
And that's the idea, is to bring the score up as close to 60 as we can get. The more that we get, the more we get.
Correct. I also, like I stated prior, that this is your decision whether or not you want to move forward. I do also want to state, these are required. This is federally state required information that the city is supposed to have. Unfortunately, in small cities, we have hundreds of mandates that pile up on our desks that aren't always able to get to the right way.
About this for 2 years.
So, but yes, that is basically where we are. If you approve these items, it will come back to you as resolutions and a memo in regards to what needs to be done in regards to maintenance.
Is there an idea of ballpark how many resolutions we'll have to?
I'm hoping that it'll be only probably 3 resolutions. There'll be the one resolution that deals with language for your labor policy. And then there will be a resolution that basically states administrative things, like they want you to have documentation that states that you look at all of your policies yearly. So that one, and then there's a last one that would include all of your contract, your vendor contracts would include all sorts of code of contracts and things like that. You would accept a contract for vendors.
So with our resolutions and first and second readings, is there a time?
Only one reading.
One reading?
One reading for resolution.
Okay. So how's that look for our timetable, if we can?
By March 31st, we should be able to, like I said, I already have most of the language already done. It's just putting it into the resolution form, and I probably have it sent to you before the end of this month, I'm sure.
Comments?
I have a couple of questions. So I understand there's 2 on the first page that are not within your wheelhouse, then there are, there's a budget amendment or 2 on the second page that you would have to do ourselves. And then there's 2 on the last page that we're defending. Okay, so your recommendation is to proceed with the rest of them?
Proceed with it as a whole.
As a whole, okay. And where would that bring our score? Up to the 60 if we were able to accomplish?
Unfortunately, no. That would probably bring you at least 10 points each way.
Okay.
Which is very respectable for a small city. Very respectable.
Is there a way that we can look at having a workshop so that you can present to us a more understanding of what all this process has to go through? Because I know when you're dealing with multiple levels of governments, there's a lot of red tape that you got to go through, and our understanding of it may not be all up to par. So if there's a way that we can get a workshop to where everything can be presented on what you want to do and what we need to do and stuff.
I have no problem with the workshop. Like I stated, this is due by March 31st. I have most of the language already done. I was hoping to get them to review it in the draft process, but they stated that they're waiting until me to send it to them. So, I would keep it on the staff.
I tried to give you a workshop every meeting. I tried to tell y'all this was what we were missing out on.
Workshops all on are like 2 hours, not these 30 minutes before the meeting things.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying every meeting I brought it up and said, look, we're not doing this right. Everything's messed up. We don't have any of
I
this.
agree, but trying to get the workshops corrected is the problem we're having.
And it's self-explanatory.
Mayor, can I make? This is on page 73 of the packet that you handed out to the commission. There's a lot of questions. Well, it ends with a question, but it states unmet requirements, missing required contract provisions, recommendation for abatement. This looks like this has pretty much been consolidated into all our infractions. that we
Correct,
need.
yes,
Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Your
There's an
disaster
awful lot.
assessment will go through and explain each item. We'll explain each item that the state is requesting information on. Then the next will show what the city had to offer, and then the state's response, and then the state's recommendation.
So, out of all of, yeah, out of all of this, can you say half on page 73 is corrected, and or we will have to go back and change the language on this page 73 on each of these items?
I apologize, I don't have the same page numbers that you have.
Well, it's,
What page is 13?
This one,
that,
yeah, that one, this is literally the language that they want you to add into your purchasing policy.
which has not been
It has
done
not
yet.
been done, no.
So there's a lot of work there.
That's a lot of work. That's when I stated that in regards to your purchasing policy, I would probably give you some recommendations, but then that would have to be a ordinance change for you.
You know, every time I come to a meeting, I just get more and more amazed. I'm glad that we've got this. We've got until March. We've got very low scores. We don't even have a system in place where we can prove to FEMA that we actually accept, or that we have contract provisions for minorities and women.
That's also a mandate that, not recently, but not too long ago, was set down. They're not the only city that doesn't have it.
I'm actually impressed with our scores.
Yeah.
Because they must have gave us a lot just for knowing who we are. Because I was shocked they're that high.
Like I said, that is very respectable scores for
Yeah.
personal city, very respectable. And these are, and they push very much about reviewing your policy annually. In a small town, it is almost impossible, and those years just start flying by before you know it. Before you know, you got 2 years by you haven't even looked at that policy. We were just talking about sidewalk, and how that just keeps getting meandered and pushed along and stuff like that. Things like this happen all the time.
See, I think if you put it on the calendar for the next year and it pops up, we should be able to read it.
Well, and that is
That's a
actually,
solution for me.
that is actually something that is done, part of what I was going to do was the resolution. That basically all of the policies that they're requiring you to review annually, just say on this date, these are the policies that I will review.
Review them and get
And you know,
them out.
even if you just like send a memo, we breezed through it. The city administrator made sure that there was no mandates that need to be changed, checked off for year, whatever. You know, we can keep it on.
This is in the early stage, so is there a review before there's a decision?
Okay, this is how this will work. The city has decided to do the program to see where you stand. You've answered all of the questions. This abatement is actually the first time they're doing the abatement to where you can say, oh, this is where your problems are. Let's see if we can fix them for some of them real quick. So this is the first time the abatement program's going through. But after we go through and whatever you choose to do, and you give them the abatement, then they'll give you your final score. As of right now, these are not considered your final score, because they're hoping you'll do some more stuff. And then you'll get your final score, and you'll hold that score until you enter the program again and be reassessed.
Well, I did notice as well that there were several items that was pretty much keyed in because we don't have enough time to submit for the closing.
Well, that's it. Well, like I said, those are, as you start talking ordinances, you're talking, you gotta get it back in the paper. You don't have, we only have 2 months to get it out of the paper. They have to be done in a certain way, so I don't have the time for those. But if you looked on the very small spreadsheet that I sent, you'll see that some of those things, there are going to be a memo stating that the state and that the city is working on them. And these are some of the language. They're going to look at your language and they're going to keep an eye on you. But those aren't due until 2027. So they're giving you time to work on that, but they're going to kind of hold your feet to the fire to make sure you are working on them.
And just explain one more time for maybe the people in the audience, what is the city, what is the benefit for the city to be?
This actually is what it affects more than just what it's put here for. This is for your disaster recovery. FEMA and the state have both had such disastrous troubles with different cities in reimbursing and or not reimbursing cities. So they were trying so hard to have a streamline and make sure everybody's on the same page. So Florida has decided that they wanted their cities to be on the best page that they could be with federal government, so they created this program. So this program will guarantee that automatically 60%, if you got 60, right now you're at 40 and 38%. Automatically 30 and 40% of any disaster recovery is automatically reimbursed to you. No questions asked, everything's already taken care of, that's taken. So that's where your benefit is. You have a percentage that is due to you.
Yeah. I'd like this to be pre-approved on a car loan before you go into the deal.
Yes.
You got pre-approval up to a certain amount, so whatever your disaster requirements are, this pre-approval means you're going to get this before you have to do anything else. As opposed to the way we've been doing it in the past, we go into FEMA and start asking questions, and then they start asking questions, and then before long, we're not even talking the same language. This kind of gets us out in front so that, okay, any of the questions you don't need to ask them, any answers that we need to come up with, we can come up with it, and then let us go on.
And this also goes twofold. There's not only does FEMA and Florida recovery look for these, the state revolving loan looks for these. Other grants look for you to have these types of policies on your books as well. So I mean, this will help you as you in other
This helps us in more than one jurisdiction. That gives us money.
It's policy maintenance.
Policy maintenance.
Well, based on what I heard, and Tracy told me this too, there's a lot of cities that apparently were set correctly collect funds for that, elected for that. I feel like we're at a point of no return. One part of me says, okay, if we're looking at debris pickup, why can't we contract, maybe pay less to a contractor than what FEMA may even provide to us at the end of it, because we're still going to have to pay something.
You can do that. That's an absolutely thing that you can do, but you just have to prepare for it. You have to do it by a letter. You can't just decide, in an emergency, unless you have that laid out by the letter, which is one of the items, is making sure that your emergency procurement is stated properly.
Well, in fact, we need to even read every line first, but I just kind of feel like we're living over term now. You've gone through all this work. I guess it's just gonna be a crapshoot.
Well, we just do what we can to raise our scores. I mean, even if we don't do the big things, if we can't get those in, we do the small things. Obviously, they're very generous with their scoring, so.
We would be ahead of tails in front of anybody who did not do this. That's the advantage.
Right.
Well, they're not too generous with the scoring because it took her a lot of work to get us as far as we are.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, for the amount of stuff we're missing, I thought we would probably be at an 8, not a 38, so.
The city is a lot better than.
A lot of the language that you put in is that we are in the process of it. So in the process of it, does that give you some wiggle room, or is it just,
The
you got to
process.
2027?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there are a few of those that make it to 2027.
And even the things that we say we are working on, if it doesn't fit our city, then we don't have to do it.
Yeah, well,
Is
no,
this a
let me
score?
rephrase that. If the federal government or the state government requires it, it's required for every city and every government.
So effectively,
It
we're
doesn't
supported.
matter the size of your city.
We're working toward it, it is a plus at least.
Yes.
As opposed to where we did not even going to look at that.
Correct.
More discussion? Motion, second.
That's a presentation, we need a motion to do it.
I just need the approval to continue to move forward on these abatement procedures. You can state that, or you can say just validate your score now. I can validate it just as it sits.
I agree with letting her continue and work with staff on getting the procurement stuff and everything, so that we can get our procedures approved and stuff like that. Work with staff on that to make sure everything gets done right, so we can approve that stuff.
I want to let I have most of the language done, so if anybody's worried about dollar signs, just a few hours.
So that would be my question, how many hours is it?
Probably about, I would say 3 to 5, unless there's a workshop that would require a couple more hours to get stuff ready for that.
Any more motion?
All right.
Make motion that we allow Con Evans to proceed with the abatement options presented to us.
Second.
Motion moved and second. Any questions from the staff, from the audience? Anyone? Going once? Vote, all in favor?
Aye.
I say aye. All in favor? Keep working. Thank you. Moving right along to the minutes.
Stress busters.
I'm sorry.
Stress busters.
And you got the stress cluster five.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that wasn't on.
I don't know.
Thank you, Kelly, you're on.
Hello, Kelly Brasco, Stress Buster 5K. I'm here to discuss the results and invoice for last year's 2024 12th annual Helen Holiday Stress Buster and its proposal for 2025's 13th annual Lake Helen Holiday Stress Buster 5K. So in your packet, you have a sheet, kind of looks like this, gives you an overall information, and we'll be going over it, and I also will be sending this in email. And attached also, we have both the final invoice for payment and for the 2024 and the proposal contract for 2025. So
I would like to start off by thanking city staff for their assistance in the 2024 5K. I would like to thank the American Legion Post 127 for providing free pancake breakfast 2 years running for our Stress Buster. And let's get into the nitty-gritty. There is a correction in the first box for 2024 financial details. Underneath registered participants for 2024, that number is 884. I had mistakenly put 844 in that box.
Which box is that?
Right here,
Right here.
in this box.
Oh, up top?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just a typo.
I see.
So I would like to give you guys the difference from the 2024 in comparison to the 2023. So underneath our registration fee, we were up $5,144.21 in comparison to 2023. Underneath our registered runners, this year we had 884, which is down 32 participants to our 916 in 2023, which I would like to say for a Tuesday run, this was very good. On our, in 2023, it was on I believe a Sunday. So that was a much better attendance when we had it on the weekends. So I think we did quite well on that. Sponsorship, this year we did 5,400, which is down $5,050 compared to the 2023, 10,450. It was very difficult this year to retain our sponsors that we've had in the long term in the past. I understand some of the hardships, and it was difficult, but we did make up for the most part in our registration fees. Included in our registration fee were also $700 and $700 plus in donations and upgrades. So we also had, you don't see that there, but we did sell extra t-shirts, magnets, and donations were also included into that number. So our gross figures for 2024 is $30,777.41. And that number is up $104.21 in comparison to 2023's $30,673.20. Our final invoice for payment for 2024 is $19,278, which we knew was up from the previous invoice, and that was due to the number of registrations that we had in the previous year, and we calculated that on the 1,000 participants, which is still where we are anticipating for 2025. So that was a difference of $2,739.70 that we went up on the invoice, which is a great result into our numbers. So at the end of the day, our net amount for the 2024 was $11,499.41, and that is directly into our coffers here at the city. We are down for the amount of people that we lost in the 32 and the sponsorship that we lost. We were only down $2,635.49. So we did make up quite a bit with the loss of sponsors. The sponsorship is really what killed us this year, because we lost half of that money, in essence. So you'll see there's some charts here that go along with the data. And I'd like to go over the if you look to your left, underneath registration by year, you'll see the numbers. You'll see that 2018 is a question mark. That question mark was because we did not do the 2018 with Run for a Cause.
that was done with Jennifer, Florida. And we all know that story. So underneath that, you'll see the proposal. The original proposal for the 2024 was $19,005.30. The final invoice had a variance, and that new number is $19,278.20, which I believe I might have a typo at the beginning on 20 cents. This year's proposal was $19,626. Again, that number is based on 1,000 race participants, which is what we based our 2024 race on. I'd like to go over some fun stuff now. If that's not fun, I thought it was fun. But the male overall is a young man, age 20, named Parker Key. Now, Parker Key was our first place winner last year in 2023. So this is 2 years he's held first place. So I think that's a really great thing. His time this year was 16 minutes, 32 seconds, and he comes from Kings Mountain, North Carolina. We have our first 3 listed for male overall, and we have our first 3 for female overall. I will go ahead and announce our female overall. Her name is Morgan Harville. She's 19 years old. She came in the overall for all ages in 8th place. But she was the first place for females. So that was a great, and she comes from DeLand, Florida, at 19 minutes and 18 seconds, 0.6. Actually, we have someone here today who won first place in their age group. And Berta, did you get your award for your first place in your age group?
Oh, no.
You didn't? I have it. I'll drop that.
Thank you.
Now, Mayor Vernon Burton hit first place in his age group, which is a great overall achievement. So congratulations.
Walking, so.
It says 48 hours to complete.
I did not write down his time, but his achievements were quite monumental. Actually, we do have our oldest runner. He is 85 years old, and he's from DeBerry, and he has been with our race for the past 6 years. So that is wonderful also. And I'd just like to also bring in that demographics as far as locations where everyone comes from. I'd say in the United States as north as New York, as west as Colorado. But as far as international, we have participants from Canada, Brazil, the Netherlands, and actually that's Holland. And I cannot pronounce the actual, I guess it would be like a city. It's Hagen. It's Hagene. So that's a city, pretty big city in Holland, in the Netherlands. So we have, how do you say it? Hang? Thank you. I knew I would picture it. So that is a great broad spectrum of where people come, not only from Central Florida, but from the entire United States, and also internationally. So we're very happy. And the gentleman who comes from the Netherlands, he has participated several times in the past. I just did not write down his number. So I would hope that you guys would approve the payment for the final invoice for the 2024 5K Stress Buster. Oh, let me add, first of all the money has been deposited into our accounts or has been sent by check. Those amounts, let me see where did I do it? It's an email. I'll make sure I send it to you. I did send it to Aaron earlier today on the amounts to see if those funds have been placed into our account. They should have been because they came in at the want to say the 31st of December was one of them. That was the final. And we had a small deposit of 200 and something in May. So we should have both of those already in our account. So we have the funds so we can go ahead and pay the invoice, which still brings us to that net profit of $11,499.41 after our payment. So if you guys would look over that invoice to approve, and also the proposal for approval for the following year, I can go ahead and start putting the 2025 together if the commission wishes that I continue coordinating this race.
This is the proposal?
The first one is the
current.
Oh.
the current one that we need to pay the invoice on. The last contract, it'll say contract on there. That is the proposal. That proposal is $19,626. It's almost identical to what we had at the end of this year, last year's 2024.
Ready for a motion?
Yes, Anna?
Thank you very much. So it's tremendous what's happening here. I make a motion that we approve payment of the final invoice and proposal of next year's raise.
Second.
Second. Any comments? Having heard none, all in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would this commission wish that I continue on to 2025?
I make a motion that Kelly Frasca continue her leadership in the express bus supply chain.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much. And I
You got
will
my
call
first
that
place?
off.
Hey, that's cool. All right, do you need to take a break?
I got about 30 more minutes for my bladder.
Okay, I'm about 10 minutes behind you. So we'll move a little bit faster. Approval of the minutes.
Mayor,
Yes.
we've discussed this numerous times.
Help me out.
The question here is you ask for a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
If someone wants to withhold one of these items, you can hold that and then move on with what's approved. But you don't have to do one individually unless it's approved. So it's a motion to approve the consent agenda.
That is the motion that I'm looking for.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second. Questions, statements, comments? All in favor? Aye. We do the same thing with the accepting of bills page.
We just
We just did that.
Did all of them.
All three of the consent agenda.
All right, I got more tabs than I need. There are some reports. Okay. Now we have the events. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think that Commissioner sitting to my left and myself thought during our last meeting, which was 2 months ago, we may have forgotten it, but that we would withdraw the bills paid from the consent agenda and go separate more bills paid cases.
Oh, I think that it was said, why are we even bothering with the consent agenda? Because we always pull something out. It was said the last.
But we did this time.
Right, right. So I don't think that it was
It
changed.
doesn't
I think
stop
it
you
was
from being
withdrawn,
able to
that
do
was
that,
it.
right? If there was
Yeah.
something on it that you wanted to pull out, then that would.
I think last meeting y'all pulled everything.
Yeah, we did.
So when we pull everything, there is no
Right.
consent agenda, and I think the administrator kind of said, well, if y'all are gonna do that, there's no.
Yeah,
point in
why
consent
bother
agenda.
doing a consent
Came
agenda?
back as a consent agenda, again, y'all should have pulled whatever if you want to talk about particular things, you can do that, that's how the consent agenda works. It's just trying, the idea of consent agenda is something that may not generate discussion, so collectively approved. We sort of do that also with our certificate of appropriateness. It you don't have any comments, we make one motion to approve them all. So just try to streamline the process.
That would be something, if you want to change it, that you'd bring up as a motion that we abolish the consent agenda and make each one on a separate item.
Do you want to discuss?
All clear? All clear? The attorney, are we all clear with that?
Yeah.
Event application 9A. League of Better Living to have a request for an event. Anybody want to speak to that? Okay, it's just the application. The date requested is March 15th, is that you?
No, this is the League of Better Living, but I do have a comment on it.
Okay.
It's a busy weekend, there are 3 activities going on that day, and they're actually following in process because our 5K will be in the morning, and we'll be done about 10:30. I think the art show starts about 10 and goes until about 3, which is on the north side of town. Then you got the Strawberry Festival over at the Equestrian Center. So I think with the Strawberry Festival being at the Equestrian Center, I hope they put posters out there to attract some of the people attending the Strawberry Festival to come look at the arts and crafts. And I'm going to go to them and ask them for flyers to put at the American Legion, so when the people get done with our 5K, they might want to take a break to go through there to see what Lake Helen has to offer.
I thought you guys coordinated. It sounded like a really good thing to have 3 events in the same day.
It is, and it's all flows in a pattern.
All right.
Good at
So, we approve, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? Discussion, questions?
Everybody have this too, Tyler.
Public comments? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Approved and passed. Second reading, 9B.
I don't think I voted.
No, she doesn't vote.
I didn't, I'm saying aye now,
All
yeah.
right, I got it. I just counted.
They're not the only ones that was tired.
This is 9B. This is the second reading of 2025-10. This is, are you?
2024
2024, oh, my mistake.
It started last year.
Yeah. Yes, please do.
Ordinance number 2024-10, by title only, for second and final reading. An ordinance to the City of Lake Helen, Florida, creating section 31.04.00 of the Code of Ordinances declaring purpose and intent, authorizing the placement and installation of a school zone speed detection system, providing for implementation of general law by the city administrator, designation of local hearing officer, making findings regarding relevant traffic data and evidence warranting additional enforcement procedures, and designating school speed zone speed detection system locations which constitute a heightened safety risk, providing for legislative findings, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for effective date.
Make a motion.
I am ready.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 2024-10.
Second.
Move to second. Anything from the audience? All in favor? Aye. So passed. 9C.
Mayor, I'll go over, I think we should do 9C and 9D together. You can vote on them separately, but I'll talk about them together because they kind of deal with the same thing.
Okay.
9C is rescission of settlement agreement. If you remember, when the auto mall started, it started with the city annexing the entire area. And the city of DeLand sued the city of Lake Helen to challenge the annexation. We went through mediation. We came up with a settlement agreement, which included also the property owner. And we came up with a settlement that proposed how that property would be developed as an auto mall. And that also resolved the litigation, approved the annexation. As you know, you all know, the auto mall is not going to be moving forward. They're going forward with a different type of project at this time. So in talking with the land, we concluded that we needed to rescind that settlement agreement, because we had this agreement out there that specifically provided for or dealt with the development of this property as the auto mall. So item C is the rescission of that settlement agreement. It's already been approved by the city of Atlanta. We did specifically put in there that the lawsuit is still dismissed with prejudice, even though we don't have a settlement agreement anymore. Lawsuit is still deemed dismissed with prejudice, and the annexations are deemed valid, that were agreed through that process. But in talking with the land, we now go to 9D, and we thought that it would be appropriate for us to have, there were provisions in the settlement agreement that weren't project specific for the auto mall, that we thought we should have as an interlocal agreement between the two cities that dealt with how the Orange Camp area is going to be developed. This is not project specific as the settlement agreement was, but these are kind of outlines good working relationship between Lake Helen and land, however this project goes forward. So 9C rescinds an agreement, 9D puts a new agreement in place. 9C is project specific for previously intended auto mall. That's not occurring, so we're rescinding that, coming forward with an interlocal agreement between us and the land only, doesn't involve the property owners. That allows us to work together as that project moves forward. So you can vote on them separately, you can vote on them together. Probably separately is better since they are two separate items.
Everybody clear? That's to item 9C.
I make a motion that we approve the rescission of the settlement agreement between Cleveland and Lake Helen for the old auto mall property.
Second.
Motion moved in second. Any comments from the audience? No comments? All in favor? Aye. So passed. To the 9C, to the interlocal agreement, 9D.
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between the cities of Lake Helen and Deland.
Yes, sir.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Second.
I was looking at how to identify the property, but I think it's something.
Comments? Questions? None?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd ask you that.
You're asking me on
You already did, they said no.
it. Okay, so I'm gonna say something.
Oh, okay.
Okay. With reading the new contract specific to the apartment complexes that are going to be there, I read some language in here where there's going to be some cost sharing. And I didn't quite understand about who gets to claim any property taxes, if any, commercial taxes. So,
What paragraph are you referring to?
I'm sorry.
What paragraph are you referring to? Remember?
Well, let's see. Road, I guess on page 127, roadway improvement timing. It goes down to paragraph 2. extent that any development on the property requires proportionate fair share agreements or other traffic concurrency mitigation agreements.
Those deal with, the developer comes forward, as they go forward with the development, you have agreements with the developer that require the developer to do proportionate fair share or traffic concurrency mitigation. So those are things that they come up naturally through development as you do the traffic studies, and they have to do certain things to improve the roadway system. Then that's what that is referring to, that the cities, whether it be, because I guess part of that road is in Lake Deland, part of that road is in Lake Helen, so we're going to work together on the proportionate fair share mitigation. The obligor of that is the development. They have to come forward. These come into existence when the proposed traffic, based on the traffic concurrency analysis, shows that additional improvements need to be made to the roadway. And so that the developer then enters into an agreement with that jurisdiction about those improvements that are going to be made.
Do we know anything about who's going to collect on taxes, property taxes?
Well, property taxes are based on the jurisdiction, property.
Okay, so they'll get whatever portion is on their side.
Yep.
Because I didn't understand that language talking about the property taxes. And then it states that this, I guess this agreement will be in effect for 30 years. Do you know what will happen in 30 years? To someone
That's a standard term for interlocal agreements between governments. It's not specific for any particular thing. I'm sure the property owner hopes that this is developed for 30 years.
Yeah, I doubt you'll be around, and I know I won't be, so I was just wondering, does that give somebody a right to passage, basically to purchase or whatever?
It's just a standard term for interlocal agreement.
That's all I have.
I'm good. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, agree as well. So moved and passed. Okay. Now, Scott, get back to that, quasi-judicial.
Yes.
Do we have to separate any of these?
Well, the first thing we need to do is ex parte communications. So if anybody's had any ex parte communications on these, that's the first thing you need to ask the mayor. The next thing, what we historically have done is we'll ask if anybody wants to address one of these particular, I think you have four. Does anybody want to address one of these? Five. Oh,
Jenny was added.
It was added, okay, five. Does anybody want to talk about one of those five separately? And if they do, this is sort of like a consent agenda, we'll pull it, and then we'll have a motion proving all the ones that nobody wants to talk about. Get those out of the way, then we'll go back to the ones that the individual, that they do want to individually talk about. So first thing we do is ask for ex parte communication.
Is there anyone have any ex parte communication, anything or anybody? Roger?
I had talks with the owner of 165 Water Street about bringing it back up.
And I don't know if I needed this one the same as last time, but there's no new ex parte on Water Street.
Okay.
Same with me.
Same with me. Okay.
Okay, Mayor, the next thing you would ask is anybody want to talk about one of these five applications separately?
All right, these five, the pool enclosure, the sign, the fence, and of course the table. Does anyone have to pull out, would like to pull out anyone?
Like to pull out letters C and E, please.
C and E? C and E. Okay.
C is just a question.
But we can go ahead and vote on the other ones.
Yeah,
first.
A, B, and D.
A, B,
Go ahead
and
and let's have a motion to approve A, B, and D.
I'll make a motion that we approve A, B, and D.
Second.
Motion moved and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Any
Anybody
questions?
else have any questions? Don't be mighty quiet tonight,
No,
I'll wake you
I
up.
vote yes.
All right. And now to the C.
Okay, my question is regarding the sign and whether or not it would be flashing. It looks to be like a screen. We previously did not approve an electronic sign in front of City Hall because it violated our ordinance for the lights flashing on it. But will this be, I assume, but I don't want to do that, but this is going to be static because we got a recommendation of approval from our board. And I couldn't find that information in there.
I think even though it's a digital sign or ordinance that says it cannot be anything that's flashing that would distract the driver. So as long as nobody reports any of that activity on the sign, it's
For illumination.
because even the one at the handway, Circle K, they're signing the dollar amount changes every once in a while, but it's not a flashing to the point that it's a distraction.
Right. So do we know if this is static or flashing?
The sign will have to be in compliance with all our codes and regulations. Even if you approve it, that is, you're approving it as a certificate of appropriateness because of the location of the sign. But it will still meet all of our requirements in the code for our sign code. So if we prohibit flashing, they won't flash.
Any more questions? You have more than that? Any more comments? Comments from the audience? Okay. All in favor? Oh.
I make a motion, we approve 10C.
Second.
Motion approved, and second now, the audience. All in favor? Aye, I approve. So pass. The other one is the D.
10E.
10E.
That was the one that was like Water Street. That was an add-on.
And I think one of the reasons it was tabled because there was a question on the requirements for the septic tank, and you got a thing from the health department that says that it meets the requirements. So this kind of, he wanted it to be brought back up so he can continue and finish the project he's working on.
And the other one, Mayor, to add on that, we probably should have pulled it up at the last meeting, but while we tabled it for something that isn't under review. This was the HBA, Historic Preservation Board, it involves the ground going up. So we don't have anything to do with proving septic systems or what have you, so we technically tabled it for something that we weren't reviewing.
Understood? Good. Good. You have a
Okay. I make a motion that we approve 10E.
Oh, second.
Let's move to second. Is there any comments from the audience? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Aye. So cool. Where are we now?
Not much longer.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have that break. That's a 5-minute break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the lady.
Oh, yeah.
That was right. Yeah, I can see that.
Can I answer your question, Heather, about this line? Okay. I don't know whether the sign lasts or not, but it's gonna have to comply with it.
I mean, I'm still curious.
Yeah, it's gotta comply, whatever our, I don't know what our regulations are. Yeah. From Mississippi type sign. Sometimes it's just the message can change sign or something I was trying to say, it's back to yellow.
Service
Smooth here. Okay, before we get to the administrative report, I've been made aware that there was a comment that, not a comment, but, in one of the, COA, which house?
You ready for me?
Yes. When we opened the comment, he didn't get a chance, so, tell us what you're talking.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jeff Ritchie, 310 West Michigan. Just a comment on the bids that was approved, not that particular bids, but bids as in general. I believe, and I couldn't pull it up, I'm not certain, but gateway standards require, or at least imply a requirement, landscape buffers or landscape pockets on fences that are road facing. That fence is going to have like 75 feet of frontage, I think is what the measurements were. White vinyl fence facing Michigan, no landscaping is noted for that. And it's I was mentioning to Roxanne, one or two fences go up, no landscaping, it doesn't get noticed. When we get 30, 40, 50 fences on corners with no landscaping, it's going to be nice. But that was the intent of that was break up the monotony. Just bring that up as a point. I know we can't revisit this one. But
Is that an HOA?
no, I think that's a gateway.
Oh, okay.
We have it in the HO. Woods has that standard as well, a little bit more, but this is a gateway standard. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good point.
Debbie might be able to.
Thank you. Yeah, that's good.
Maybe because of the distance it is from the road, I don't know. The pocket requirements we have on fences facing the roads, how would that apply in this one with Michigan?
Can I see this, right? On this road, this is on the corner lot. So this is South Michigan. So
It's a
he,
side street that the fence is on.
right, he already has an existing fence. He's been pushed, it's gonna be pushed out, and then he's gonna come up along the side